Hello folks, my name is Mark. This is Why I Hate the World. How you guys doing? Just a real quick video today. As I'm sure you're all aware, there was some violence in Charlottesville, Virginia over the weekend. And what happened is that there was a group called Unite the Right, an alt-right identitarian type group that got butthurt because they were taking down a statue of a Confederate slave owner from there. So they decided to go protest that. And of course, some counter protests came, Antifa types, progressives and stuff like that. And, shit happened, which has resulted in the death of three people, two of them police officers who died in an accident, and one was a young woman who was run over by a car. And if you have been living on the moon or something and you don't know what's going on here, basically the guy that did it, his name is James Alex Fields, and he is a alt-right person, and there's video of him basically running into a crowd, driving through a crowd, and running people over. And he would have just, he goes and plows into this like crowd, and luckily there were two cars stopped, and he hits these two cars, or else he just would have kept going and would have ran over more people. And 19 people were injured, and one person is dead now because of this. And now, I don't really have much I can add to this because I'm sure, as you're aware, it's kind of 24/7 on the news now. But what I can say is that I don't know why people are surprised that this happened. Why are they surprised? Why are people surprised that, the alt-right would be violent? All right, I don't know why. I mean, they're fucking Nazis. They're Nazis, they're KKK guys. Look at those pictures, Nazi flags, dudes in KKK robes, right? Skinheads. And, who thought that this would be a peaceful protest, These people came, like, armed. That's another thing that you're going to see online, like, they might have come and protested, but, the liberals were the ones who started it. That's the excuse they always give. The Antifa guys are the ones that started it, right? Not really. These guys came lots of them came with pistols and shotguns and, batons and fucking riot shields, right? And it looked like they'd been practicing. They formed like human walls. Like it looked like they spent the weekend watching the 300 or something, and they were like copying Roman tactics. Right. Guys walking with their shields interlocked and held up above and stuff like that, right? Don't tell me that they didn't go there itching for a fight. Okay. Because they did. All right. And, rhetoric online for the past year has been pointing towards something like this happening. Okay. This is like if you go into right-wing places, if you go on fucking Daily Stormer and certain subreddits, this is what these guys are talking about. We need to take the country back, and we're gonna, and that's basically, this is the rhetoric has been pointing at this. Get ready. We're gonna fight back. Is how they term it, right? Even though they're so it's like, and in the end, does it really matter? Who threw the first punch? I mean, somebody's dead now. All right. Does it really matter if a left winger threw a fucking brick, or if a right winger punched someone in the face, No. I mean, actually, believe it or not, BuzzFeed has a very good article on this. Usually you would say BuzzFeed is just bullshit, which it usually is, but they have a really good article on this that kind of goes through a play-by-play. I recommend everybody check it out. So that's the thing, is that, you're already starting to see the excuses. See, that's the thing about the alt-right and conservatives in general, is that they never take responsibility for, anything, right? They don't take responsibility when people on their side are criminals, or when they break the law, or when they're fucking terrorists, or when they're racist, or whatever, right? They always try to turn it around and blame, and say it's because of liberals that this shit happened. So you got guys like on Reddit saying shit like, yeah, well, it got out of hand, but the Democratic mayor of Charlottesville allowed it. Like that's some kind of excuse. These guys, this Unite the Right people, they got permits to go protest here, right? The law says that, you get the permit, you're allowed to protest. What do you want? The mayor is just supposed to shut them down because what? Because he's a Democrat? Because he's a liberal, right? Then you get them all complaining about how it's unfair and how the government's suppressing them and shit. So it's like, no, that's not an excuse, right? Because a Democratic mayor allowed this protest to happen is not a fucking excuse. Okay. That's one thing, right? Already fucking, another one is that the police didn't do anything about it because the cops are outgunned, right? This is actually an excuse coming from, like, liberals and shit. They're like, well, how come the cops didn't do anything to stop this, right? How come because the police apparently had orders not to intercede when they saw people fighting unless they got the direct order to do so, right? Why is that? Was it because like people in the crowd had shotguns and pistols and stuff? No, that's not that at all, right? It's because fucking they wanted to contain it to the park. Okay, that's basically they knew this shit was gonna happen, right? They knew that it was gonna get violent, right? And they said, okay, well, our job here is to keep this civil unrest contained to this area so that it doesn't spread out into the rest of the city and these people don't start trashing windows and burning down buildings and it doesn't turn into a full-scale riot. That was their job. So they said, okay, just, if you see someone like, getting beat within the inch of his fucking life, save them. Otherwise, if they're people just shouting and pushing each other and, a punch gets thrown, don't do anything. And that's the right thing to do, in that instance. And once fucking this dude ran his car through it, they shut it down. That's the way they should have. And there's actually, this time there's video of the alt-right guys fighting the cops, because usually when the cops shut down a protest, they leave, right? Because they want to get the cameras and the media, they want them to see the Antifa guys fighting the cops, right? That's what they do. So they just bail. But this time they didn't. This time they like stood up and they were actually fighting the cops. So yeah, good luck. They fucked it up. Now it's them on the fucking news fighting the cops, right? Now they look like the villains, right? That's how, that's how we need, if you're gonna go there and you're gonna like counter protest, I count this as a victory just in that sense. It's like, who came out the villains in this one, right? Because who's the fucking real villain here? Okay. Is it the counter protesters or is it is it the guys walking around with fucking swastikas? Or is it the people saying that everyone's equal, right? Who's the real villain, right? Anyway, another one is that you'll see online, people are saying that this guy in the car, what's his name again? James Alex Fields, they're saying that he's Jewish, right? Because his mother's maiden name is Bloom, and therefore he's a Jew, and he can't possibly be an identitarian or a Nazi, so he must be a liberal. And it's a liberal conspiracy. It's a plant. It's bullshit, okay? Just because your last name is Bloom doesn't mean that you're Jewish. All right? And even if you were Jewish, that doesn't mean you can't be part of the alt-right. You might not be a Nazi, but you could still be one of those stupid-ass Proud Boys guys or a fucking, like, Kekistan fucking freak or whatever. You can still be racist, okay? But, here's the thing, right? There is no actual evidence that the guy's Jewish. None that I could find. I went online, I looked at, interviews. I tried finding his Facebook profile, shit like that. There's no mention of his religion anywhere, right? In fact, the only sources I could find for that was a comment thread on the fucking Daily Stormer, right? Not even the article on Daily Stormer, one of the comments, right? And fucking Reddit. Well, those aren't sources, right? Those are guys just saying, hey, that's a Jewish last name. Well, that's bullshit, okay? So it's just like another pathetic attempt to shift blame away from themselves, And I mean, shit, you'll see like Alex Jones already on InfoWars. It's only been a couple of days. He's already trying to blame this on George Soros and fucking Hillary Clinton, saying that they instigated the violence. They can't take responsibility. And they never do, you know. And whenever something bad happens, they bullshit themselves and turn it around. And you know, you don't let them do it. Don't let them do it. Argue, you know, confront, argue, engage them, right? Don't let them try to shift blame from this. So, you know, it's sad that this person had to die, and I feel bad, and it's a fucking tragedy. I think there could be some good things to come out of this, right? It looks like, you know, because also Donald Trump wouldn't fucking, our president, you know, Donald Trump wouldn't straight out condemn this violence. In fact, he used weasel, like a very weaselly kind of like both sides are at fault type thing, right? And now people are saying like, you know, that there's a possibility that Steve Bannon and fucking Sebastian Gorka might get fired, right? Because they're too friendly with the fucking alt-right. You know, Sebastian Gorka is a fucking like Hungarian fascist. You know, he was part of a group that supported the Nazis and shit. That guy's scum. And Steve Bannon is, you know, a piece of shit. He's a racist piece of shit too. And you know, if that happens because of this, you know, if they get, you know, if they get kicked out and they're no longer pouring fucking, you know, poison into Trump's ear because of this, I think that's a good thing. So anyway, you know, I guess really to sum up, it's just like, you know, don't let the right wingers get away with it, you know, and don't let them shape the narrative. There you go, right? You know, fucking fight back whenever you see people posting dumbass conspiracy theories or that, you know, this was all set up by the left or blah blah blah. Don't let them weasel out of it. You know, confront them with it. Return it back to them. Say, you know, no, that's bullshit. These guys are fucking, you know, they're the ones that caused the violence. This girl is dead because of these assholes, not because of George Soros, not because of Hillary Clinton, not because of fucking the Jewish overlords or whatever stupid ass shit they're saying, you know. And that's how you change hearts and minds, right? By confronting people with the truth. Anyway, adios, folks.